Set in the late 19th century, 23-year-old Mary Yellen, who was brought up on a farm in Helford, is sent to live with her Aunt Patience and her husband at Jamaica Inn, on Bodmin Moor, Cornwall. Her mother has died, and it is hoped that she will have a better life there. Mara Yellen, a young woman who has lost her family, journeys to live with her Aunt Clara and Uncle Otto at Hollows Inn, a remote inn hidden in a dense forest valley. As she travels by train through dark November weather, Mara recalls her mother's parting wish for her safety. When she arrives, the secluded inn looms like a shadow, surrounded by thick trees and fog that clings to the building. It's far removed from any town, and Mara feels an intense sense of isolation. She's greeted at the door by Otto Firth, her tall, imposing uncle, who barely acknowledges her presence. His cold demeanor sets her on edge. Inside, Mara meets Aunt Clara, who once had a warm, lively spirit but now seems worn and fearful. Otto's voice booms through the inn, commanding Clara with impatience. Clara seems to flinch at her husband's every word, never questioning him. The once vibrant woman Mara remembers is now shadowed and submissive, clearly afraid of Otto's temper. Watching this interaction, Mara feels both sadness and a deep unease, sensing that her aunt's spirit has been broken. She silently vows to protect her aunt, though she is intimidated by her uncle's fierce presence. Mara explores the inn, which is filled with dark corners and chilly drafts. She discovers an abandoned wing with doors that are tightly sealed and notices strange marks on the floor outside the locked doors. Her curiosity grows, especially when she asks Clara about it, and is met with a fearful glance and a warning to leave the past alone. Clara's discomfort adds to Mara's suspicion that Otto is hiding something dangerous. She begins to feel both intrigued and unsettled by the locked rooms and wonders what her uncle could be concealing. One evening, Otto orders Mara to serve drinks to a group of his acquaintances who arrive at the inn. They're rough and unkempt, with coarse laughter and a tendency to speak in hushed tones. Mara feels uneasy, sensing a dangerous air among them. The men treat her dismissively, and the evening drags on with their harsh jokes and crude behavior. Late that night, after the guests have left, Mara hears voices whispering in the hallway. She watches as Otto and his associates carry crates into the locked wing, where they quickly disappear behind the heavy doors. Mara's suspicions grow, and she realizes her uncle might be involved in illegal activities. The next day, an inspector named Samuel Blake visits Hollows Inn. He's a stern, observant man who hints that he's aware of Otto's possible crimes. He questions Mara about the inn and her uncle's guests, but Clara, clearly terrified of Otto's reaction, quickly silences her. Inspector Blake proceeds to search the inn, but he finds nothing suspicious, as the locked wing is inaccessible. Mara feels frustrated but also senses her isolation deepening, realizing how powerful her uncle's control is over her aunt and herself. During a walk through the woods, Mara encounters a traveler named Jack, who claims to be passing through the valley but seems to know a lot about Hollows Inn. Jack is friendly yet enigmatic, hinting that the inn is well known for reasons beyond hospitality. Mara is intrigued by his charm but remains cautious. Jack warns her that Hollows Inn has a dark reputation and tells her to stay vigilant. Their conversation leaves Mara both comforted by his friendliness and unsettled by the implication that others know of her uncle's criminal undertakings. Mara visits the nearest village and meets Elsie Winters, a kind herbalist who lives on the edge of town. Elsie is warm and calm, with a gentle demeanor that instantly puts Mara at ease. As they chat, Mara feels comfortable enough to reveal some of her concerns about the inn and her uncle's strange activities. Elsie listens patiently, advising Mara to trust her instincts and stay cautious. She offers Mara her support and help if ever needed, giving Mara a sense of hope that she has a trustworthy friend outside the inn. Otto falls into a drinking binge one night, becoming aggressive and loud. His voice echoes through the inn as he rants and raves, confessing to terrible deeds and warning that those who cross him will face consequences. Mara listens in horror as he describes violent acts from his past, realizing that he has committed serious crimes. Clara, who seems accustomed to his outbursts, tends to him with quiet acceptance, revealing a depth of fear and resignation that saddens Mara. This episode leaves Mara feeling terrified of Otto's true nature, but her determination to protect her aunt and escape grows stronger. Looking for a reprieve from the dark atmosphere of the inn, Mara spends a day with Jack, who invites her to the market in a nearby town. The trip provides her a rare chance to laugh and enjoy herself, away from Otto's oppressive control. Jack shares stories of his life and hints at his own difficult past. Mara finds herself drawn to his charisma, though she still guards her trust. When Jack abruptly leaves her at the market without explanation, she feels disappointed and slightly betrayed, realizing she may have let her guard down too easily. One foggy night, Mara observes her uncle and his gang as they set up false signals to lure unsuspecting travelers toward the inn, where they plan to rob them. As Mara watches in horror, she realizes that her uncle is involved in more than smuggling. He's orchestrating theft and possibly murder. The gravity of his ruthlessness shocks her, and she's filled with anger and sorrow for the suffering he's caused. Her fear is tempered by a growing resolve to put an end to his crimes, no matter the cost. As rumors spread about Otto's activities, he becomes aware that he's under surveillance. He hastily begins making plans to leave the area before authorities close in. Mara overhears him discussing escape routes and realizes that she must act quickly to stop him from evading justice. Though she's frightened, her anger fuels her determination to expose her uncle's crimes. Mara sets out to seek help from Elsie, but upon reaching her cottage, she finds it empty. Desperate, she tries to locate Inspector Blake, but learns that he has left town. Frustrated and fearing for her life, Mara returns to Hollow's Inn, feeling as if she has no one to rely on. The isolation intensifies her fear, but she steels herself, knowing she must confront her uncle alone if it comes to that. Mara overhears a conversation that confirms her uncle's gang has committed a robbery resulting in a death. The atmosphere at the inn becomes more tense as Otto grows paranoid, suspicious that someone might betray him. He becomes more volatile, and Mara feels the weight of her knowledge growing unbearable. She knows she must act to prevent further bloodshed, despite her terror. Mara urges her aunt to leave with her, insisting that they can escape Otto's grasp together. However, Clara remains steadfast in her loyalty to her husband, despite his cruelty. Mara is devastated by her aunt's fear and loyalty, but her frustration fuels her resolve to protect Clara, even if it means doing so against her wishes. She realizes her aunt's loyalty to Otto may run too deep to change. After Otto's suspicions grow, he captures Mara, believing she knows too much about his activities. He forces her to join him and his gang on a nighttime heist, where she witnesses the full extent of their ruthlessness. Terrified, Mara feels trapped and helpless but resolves to survive and escape, no matter the risks. During the heist, Mara seizes an opportunity to flee. She runs through the dense forest, her breath coming in gasps as she navigates the darkness, aware that Otto's men are chasing her. She stumbles, scrapes her knees, and fights through branches, all while hearing footsteps close behind. Her resolve to survive and bring her uncle to justice keeps her moving, even as exhaustion threatens to overcome her. Mara finally escapes her ordeal, finding solace in the quiet dawn. She reflects on the terrifying events at Hollow's Inn, and feels a renewed sense of strength, knowing she has broken free from her uncle's dark influence. Though scarred by her experiences, Mara is determined to start anew, free from the oppressive memories of Hollow's Inn. Her journey has shown her resilience, and she's ready to embrace the future with courage.